Hi, everyone. Jeff and I are going to be talking about why it's so important to have a full-time team member instead of hiring a part-time virtual assistant from Upwork or Fiverr or onlinejobs.ph. Or there's lots of conversation going around about this conversation to rest today by letting you know what are the advantages, and there might be some advantages. I think most of us who are stuck, Jeff, inside the six-figure mark have already tried the part-timers and the Fivers and the Upworks and the online jobs.ph. And if the struggle is to really unlock growth, then this is kind of what I'm coming back to my book, like finishing up a book project, and on chapter 4, just final edits, 12 chapters together. And one thing that I've realized is that we call ourselves digital marketing agency owners or digital marketing agency, the keyword being agency. And the cornerstones of being an agency or qualified to be an agency are retainer based clients, and then infrastructure in place to make sure that you continuously bring in that retainer on a monthly basis, and then you retain that retainer for as long as possible, right? So that's what an agency is built around. And I was just telling Khizr's on this call right now, and I'm like, Khizr, let's just change the name of the book to maybe how dare you call yourself an agency owner. And and that applies to me first because I'm 13-year-old digital marketing agency owner. Jeff Fisher's our chief growth officer. He's a coach to agency owners, digital marketing agency owners. And then on top of that, he's also run his own digital marketing agency, a very successful one. So what do you have to say about this, Jeff? Like, starting out with this full-time team member, thinking of this and really laying the brick as maybe hiring your first person as a marketing associate, and starting that marketing department to work internally for your own agency and really put you on the path to become a true agency.
Well, one of the things that's been interesting over the last, I guess, 15, 18 months is getting really clear on when to bring in the help and what person you need most at what point in time. So I'm going to go a little bit backwards, but I've been saying for a long time, if you think you want a salesperson, you better have sold at least 15 projects on your own. Because if you've sold 2 or 3 and you think you're going to bring a salesperson in to sell your product, that's going to be a struggle because there's nobody more passionate about what you do than yourself. And how can you teach a process when you haven't even figured out a successful process for your business on your own? And that, whether you're a great salesperson or not. Well, what's the gap filler in there? Well, the gap filler is that marketing assistant, right? Get the systems up and running, start the email sequences and get them running consistently, starting to get, even if it's just a few strategy sessions every week on your calendar, consistently is the key word, right? Mm-hmm. To your point. So we run around and, we have our 5 or 6 clients that we kind of stumbled on, or, my story, just for fun little stories, I went off to a conference, learned about local digital marketing, came back, I had sold my landscape business. So I had 5 buddies that were all business owners. I went out to them and said, hire me, I'll do your digital marketing. This is 2009, 2010, in that range. Pay me $500 a month. And as I learn, you get everything that I know, right? And so to your point, how dare I call myself a digital marketer at that point, right? But, it's like all consultants, all coaches, most people lose track of the fact, I just need to know more than you, right? And I need to be growing my knowledge. But back to this hiring. So whether you're hiring a salesperson or that position, or, you now have, again, about that 15 client point, 10 to 15 clients where you need an account manager or account management assistant is what I really like to say, because you've never had one. So you have to kind of build out the position. Mm-hmm. But in all of these, The biggest mistake that I made along the way was, to your point, hiring some part-timers, spend time training them. Just when they were starting to figure out what the job entailed, and the time I was figuring out what the job entailed, their time with me would come to an end, because they're only working part-time. I'm going to hire you for the next 13 weeks part-time. And then at the end of that, they'd already moved on in their head, even if I came back and said, I want to commit more time to you. So the conversations that I had with you in the very beginning of RepStack was, we want that commitment. We want every hour of every day that we train somebody to be a building reservoir of knowledge.
Yeah.
Right.
And I remember, Jeff, you pushing me really hard on this question that, hey, this is the norm right now. Why can't we have part-timers on it? And, we really took a deep dive into that question. And then, we stuck to our intuition that, what we're trying to do over here is a part-time, not a part-timer, but a full-time team member who goes inside your agency and has leadership qualities and can grow into a director one day, or the leader of that particular. Because remember, like, when, especially if you guys are placing these people for the first time in your agency, the marketing assistant, the sales development rep, and the account managing assistant, these people are you're really laying the brick of your internal marketing department. You're really laying the brick of your eventual sales department that you're going to eventually have people in. And then you're going to have, like, as you go past it, what Jeff said, 10 clients plus, you're going to start needing have a client success team, or these account managers who are going to be constantly in touch with your clients, not you guys. So these things require some kind of buy-in inside your agency, and they need to follow you as a visionary leader. And you can't expect a part-timer to come in and do these things for you. These people are like, I was just, I was going through some of the case studies, and, it was just putting a smile on my face, because these are the things that we envision a marketing assistant to do or an account manager to do. And they're actually doing it. And there's so much like, one of these things that we hear consistently, working with 100 plus digital marketing agencies, these intuitions that we had at the start of RepStack are coming to fruition now, that this person can come in and be 2 steps ahead of the client, or the agency owner all the time, come to the client with a solution already on the plate. All you have to do is say yes or no, or maybe this. And this is the type of person that you're looking for. Like, you can honestly tell me that we can go on on a platform and find a person who can work 20 hours or 15 hours a day and commit to this level of enthusiasm inside our agency. I don't think so, right? So I think these people are going to grow into teams eventually, and this first person is coming in as the first brick of that building that you're building, so that you can be a proper agency. So the digital marketing agency now turns into a thriving agency, and with these people, you kickstart the growth that we're looking for, and go past $1 million annual revenue and beyond.
So, as I'm thinking about what you're saying here, it's interesting that at RepStack, we focus on people that can help you grow your business, which is different than a lot of other VA virtual associate companies that focus on how to get the fulfillment completed, which is that's an after the fact investment of time and energy to keep the client happy. But by investing in, we're going to build our lists out, we're going to start consistently emailing, we're going to make sure reports happen on time every month, all of those things allow us to position ourselves for growth. Servicing the client does not position yourself for growth.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a new idea in my head right now. So
yeah, no, and that's what it is. Like, going through this book project, and guys, this is a little informal today, but I think maybe what I'm going to do in a few minutes here is that maybe I'll take you to that chapter in my book where where we're talking about this client, and then we go into this associate's day and show you guys exactly what that person is doing. But and then you guys can look at that case study and tell me that is can we consistently expect this work 40 hours a week, 160 hours a month, every single month on a daily basis from a part-timer? Because if this person can come in and do these massive activities for you on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and a monthly basis, it's just huge. And asking a part-timer to do that, I'm not sure if that's a possibility. But also distinguishing what Jeff just said, very important. And that came to me as a clarity as well, Jeff, that it's very important for us to distinguish some of these people that we're talking about from your internal fulfillment teams, because you already have good setup. Like, we're assuming that you have fulfillment down already, and you guys are doing a great job fulfilling and delivering for your clients. The issue is that we as digital marketing agency owners are our own bottlenecks, and we haven't invested in setting up our marketing department, our sales department, and our accounts department, so that we can really kickstart growth. So that's the issue. That's what we're trying to focus on. All the people that we put in place are focused on solving this one problem for agency owners. And now we have case studies of 100 plus clients where we can go in and we can see every single data point, that was our assumption correct or not. And one of the assumptions that came true was that you really need, in these, especially in these internal roles, you really need full-time people, and you need to keep them separate from your production house, or the fulfillment that you're doing for your clients. Get them, eat your own dog food. This is the first step for that. So we're doing an amazing job for our clients. Let's start doing it for ourselves too, for once. And using a full-time person really works there. Anything else, Jeff, you'd like to add to this before I show us this quick case study?
Well, before you show the case study, I'm curious if anybody has a question about this before we jump to the next, full-time, part-time. The other thing that you gain by having a full-time person that's thinking about growth of the business is you finally have what I'll call a confidant. Right? Because when you talk to your leading production person, you're talking always about production, how to better serve the client, how to do it faster, make more money. And it's a totally different conversation when you're even talking to your marketing assistant about what are we doing? How can we do it better to grow the business? Not, how can we get it done faster? And so it's like the conversation around pay per click. The big mistake that I believe is made is we talk about price per click, and we get all wrapped around, we're paying too much per click. I don't care. I've never cared. Once I figured this out, I've never cared what I pay for a click. In my case, I discovered I'm willing to pay, the entire first month's recurring revenue amount. So let's say that's $1,500. I'm willing to pay that to get a new client. So if I can get that in one $1,500 click, I'll take one click every day at $1,500. If the click price goes up by $2, as long as I can get the client that I need in that price point, I'm fine. And so what happens is we see the mistake is made. Well, we stop advertising, or we cut our budget, or we do whatever because we feel like we're not getting where we need to be. And it's just because you don't understand the lifetime value of your client, and the fact that, if you're making a, $18,000 to $40,000 sale, which is not uncommon in digital marketing, right? You've got to invest that. So to believe that you're going to get an $18,000 client for $150, there's a mindset mismatch, is what I like to call that.
Yeah, and it's so easy to also, when you're investing in these campaigns, investing in these people when they're coming in as team members, it's easy for you to kind of prioritize and have budgets for these. So really you want to be at a point where, if you're underhired for a particular area in your agency, you're actually losing money. And one of our clients just gave us some feedback that, they think an associate from RepStack is worth at least $100,000 in additional revenue inside their agency. But he's doing a lot more than that. But that's what he thinks, that, at best you should be generating this amount. When you add a new team member, you should have these numbers and budgets in mind. And what better way of doing it, like Jeff said, having those numbers and just keeping that money aside, making sure that you're investing that stuff back into the system. So one question, Jeff, I see is there a particular, do we recommend that a person can hire for a part-timer in this early stage to work on their own marketing or their own sales and things like that? Is there a case for that?
If you can't afford anything else, I'm going to tell you, get an extra set of hands. No matter how many hours a day or days a week that you can afford them. But
yeah,
if you're going to do that, remember if you're going to hire a part-timer, you want a permanent part-time position, and it's got to be very narrowly focused. You're going to show up every day and do these 3 steps every single day. And don't worry about what's going on in the rest of the business, because that's not your responsibility to the business. But you notice all of a sudden that's not really aggressively supporting growth, because they're just coming, they're doing those 2 or 3 things every day, checking the emails, responding, whatever. But I remember like you said, the conversations, and at first I was like, you can do this with a part-timer, because I've done it with a part-timer. But what I forgot about, and this is the other side of it, is how much work it took to manage the part-timer.
Yeah.
Hey, is Azhar working this morning, or is Azhar off?
Yeah.
Those sound like really trivial things, but especially if you're dealing in time zones and all of those things, and it's like, okay, they took off at noon on Friday and they won't be back until noon on Tuesday. And you're like, but I got work to do, and I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm going to work over the weekend. And you're telling me now I got to wait 4 days to get some help on what I'm doing. And so we just always go back to doing the mundane, menial tasks that we're not very good at. So we spend a lot of our focus on doing what we're not very good at.
Yeah, and we've all been there, done that, at agency owners, coming from different areas of this world and this life, and starting our own agency journeys. And I think that's one of the things, like, the title of the book, again, is a little harsh on that side, but myself included, we all come from these digital marketing agencies. They can get started in a very little amount of investments, and a lot of us start these things out as our side hustles, and we may necessarily not know what an agency model really looks like. And we call it an agency, but we're doing a great job for delivering results for our clients. But to ourselves, we've really created a job, right? So, and we want to step back from this. So we need the right people in that place who have the same level of enthusiasm, or it can match my enthusiasm, because I've been going at it for 13 years now, and you can't tell me that I'm not going to succeed over here. I'm going to continue to find a way. Here's Jeff and I sitting that, from our own experiences, from learning over the last almost coming to 2 years in October on our journey, working with 100+ agency owners, that, as you set up these things and these internal departments, and the internal first person as a marketing associate, sales development rep, it allows you to step back, take a breather. You don't need to take care of every single client's onboarding, things like that. And the person who's going to come in and do this for you, that's a special breed of person. It's not, you may get lucky finding that person as a part-timer on Upwork, Fiverr, or any other platform, or even in your local market, but it's going to be hard. So, without any further ado, I just want to take you to this case study in chapter 4, where our client Ken Tucker is talking about his marketing associate Lela, and here's what Ken starts out by saying, and this is, I want you guys to envision this person being what you, Jeff, said, your left hand man or right hand man, and a confidant, and you're really working with this type of person. And working with Lela has been fantastic. Lala is just amazing. She's been able to pick up everything that we've asked her to do and turn it around very quickly. It doesn't take a lot of oversight on my part to give her a task. And if she does need some help, she's very good at asking. So, that just, I was just going through this chapter and that put a smile on my face that, this is kind of what I envision. And this is what I like to surround myself, the type of people with. And it's true because, we got a similar type of person inside our own marketing, again, talking about eating our own dog food. And just under a year ago, and that person now has grown, that first marketing associate has grown into a 6-person marketing team and a department, where that first person is the director of marketing right now, and at a very young age as well. So we've seen that happen over and over again with our clients who start understanding the process over here. And then some of the tasks that Lela is doing for Ken on a daily basis. So this is a typical day for her. Clear and respond all company emails. Uses Prospect Rocket SEO to monitor all marketing campaigns. Using Designer transcribes all podcasts from Ken before updating them onto the agency's website. Creates social media and blog posts. Then monitors this performance on different tools. Creates lead campaigns. Creates images for social media using Canva. Customizes videos using InVideo for social media uploading. And this is happening on a daily basis, every single day, 5 days a week, 20 days a month. It's perpetual. So, Ken set up that marketing engine right now, and he's ready to, these guys are closing like amazing 5-figure deals. And I've heard some 6-figure deals in there as well on the Ken side. But yeah, that's the reason. So like just looking at this person and what Ken describes this person is doing and what she's doing on a daily basis, I think it's better to have a person who has, who's really keen on learning, and you're really hiring for attitude over here and making sure that obviously they have these baseline skills, but they're really like a manager type material. It's like a entry level manager you can think of. Like if you give them the right playing field, you give them the right leadership, and hopefully you have access to a blueprint, and get them to execute that. Your first 4 or 5, like Jeff and I, you guys should just go back to some of our webinars and think about, go through some of these campaigns that Jeff and I have talked about. Like if you don't have any campaigns for your own agency, what are the first 4 or 5 things that you should be launching? Acquiring a list, picking down a niche for yourself, launching an email marketing campaign on that list. If you have the budget, launching Facebook and Instagram ads for that a marketing list. And then finally, squaring it off with a podcast and a webinar on a monthly and weekly basis. So all of these things are things that a lot of our clients do, and we've seen them successful. We do it for ourselves. And there's so many of us who are seeing exponential growth coming through these key people placed in these key roles. But in my opinion, I think to get the most impact, you want to have impact, you're going to get it out of full-time people. Anything else before we wrap this up, Jeff? Looks like
No,
there's a question.
I answered Sam's question about communicating with your team. That's another thing, that the difference between a part-timer and a full-timer. Think about any project you work on. If you work on it straight, it's fairly easy to get it done because you're working on a continuous thought process till it's completed. If you're working on something, here and there, just like with a part-timer, they show up and say, okay, hey Jeff, what do you want me to work on today? And I'm like, I don't even remember what the hell you worked on 3 days ago when you were here, right? Because they're not part of that continuous thought process. They're all piecemeal, so that full-time investment may sound crazy in the beginning, but everyone that we've seen be successful in growing their business has, by at least the second or third month, said, I don't know how I would have ever survived with just a part-timer.
And then I think to answer Sam's question, you kind of explained that really. Slack, having Slack, Sam, that's what I would recommend as well. We've actually, and we're 100% remote company with 200 plus people, and so many people in different time zones, and majority of them outside the continent of US. So it was a big challenge for us, especially when we first started out. So, bringing everybody in from Skype inside Slack, that was one of the big steps we took about a year ago. And then having, like bringing these people inside your team, it's going to be hard, not at the same office, but there's ways of doing it. Like, there's an app called Karma on Slack that, you put everybody on there, allow them to work from home. I think it drives more dividends there as well. But at least your remote people, I think you can easily bring them into tools like this, keep them engaged, use things like Karma, having regular coffee breaks, or lunch on Zoom or something like that. Those things really work. And then also, on in terms of tracking time for the right person, these people should be sending you end of day reports. Clients who are with us, they get access to time doctor reports, where the machines are constantly checked on what work is being conducted and things like that. So there's a lot of ways of doing this productively, while we still continue to bring in remote people. So remote person can still be in the US, and there's like 3 hour differences where we're at, and in some places. So I think remote can be handled really easily with what Jeff said there, and some of the things that we've learned over our growth and being 100% virtual. So shouldn't be a problem. I have full-time. So we have another question from Sam here. I have full-time staff, but I see them face to face every day. If they have an issue they can't figure out, they just walk over to my desk, and so that's really, I think that's a good case that a lot of people who have locations make. Jeff, what do you think about this? I think you've operated both type of businesses.
Sam, I'm going to be really honest with you here. That's the worst kind of management style that you can have, because you're least productive when they can just walk over to you and ask questions. It may make them more productive, but you less so. Whereas if that same person posted up in Slack their question and you fit it into your day where it was appropriate, you're going to become more effective. And it's a debate we can always have, but I'm going to believe that in your business, that you're the most impactful person in your business, and moving it forward. And so, give you an idea, over the last 12 years, I've worked remote except for one 9-month period of time when I merged in with another business. And we had offshore and onshore people here in Reno. And to hold effective meetings, everybody had to sit in their own office. Nobody could go to the conference room, because if everybody's in the US in the conference room and everybody overseas is on, Zoom or whatever technology you're using, they didn't get to see the body language and everything else. So to level the playing field, everybody had to go sit in their office, so they were all seeing the same thing and having the same experience. And so, Sam, remember, to make this work, you're going to have to change some, if not a lot, of the things that you've done forever. Because I used to be that kind of leader where just come on in, my door's always open. I never shut my door. Now it's I shut my door. If you want to meet with me, I'm available for this 30 minutes, this time of day, that kind of thing.
No, I think, and Sam also raises a very valid point here, because a lot of us agency owners, we're used to doing these things, and we necessarily haven't been. I'm not sure what Sam's background is, but but a lot of us don't, understand the nitty gritty of the agency model. So that's completely okay. We're running the ship really tight. We're delivering results for us, but we're looking for a breakthrough moment over here. And one of the things that work really well, Sam, with the remote model, especially I would imagine that you're thinking that, okay, so I need to put a full-time person in place on this, and if I hire the wrong person, it's a lot of investment and it could go wrong. Especially, this is how I like to run my teams, by being right there in front of them. So, having a remote person and having an action plan to onboard them properly, or having like a track for them to go and implement from day one, I think that's going to be a good, it's going to give you a boost in confidence that, okay, now I have a game plan in place, like a blueprint. That's one of the things that we're launching in next quarter. Yeah, so what, to Sam's point, that he's getting second thoughts about hiring a remote person, and that too full time, and that's because he may not have a plan in place for this person to come in and what this person is going to execute. And we heard that throughout our growth, and so we were implementing our agency growth tracks. It's going to be launched officially next week, or the first week of April. And that's going to include all these blueprints and growth tracks where you can have a marketing associate come in, hire that person full time. They can come in and now execute these marketing growth tracks for you and have these first 5 campaigns not only up and running, but also constantly optimized and monitored for you, so that you can get to that 15 to 20 discovery calls a month, and then you get the sales development rep in place and get them to execute those trainings, and so on and on. So I think between those blueprints, if you can get access through them through a company like ours, or have a coach to like Seven Figure Agency or Josh Nelson, that would give you the confidence that now you're ready to place this person and get them going from day one without wasting a second. And as long as you hire the right person with attitude like Lala, I think it's going to be all smiles every day. All right, guys.
All smiles every day.
That's right. That's what we want.
Yeah,
all right, guys.
exactly.
Sam, it was a pleasure. We'll talk to all of you guys soon, and we'll be sending out a replay of this to you guys as well. Thanks, Jeff. We'll talk to everyone. Bye-bye.